On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Yes, indeedy. We have got some, just weirdness, I guess. The Supreme Court's taking on a redistricting case, which, is good. Don't get me wrong. But they continue to ignore the giant screaming elephant in the room. I don't think they really scream, but you get the point. Don't know what's going on with this. Don't know what's happened. I'm seeing all sorts of crazy stuff being thrown out there. I'm not saying it's wrong. Certainly some interesting conspiracy stuff flowing around about John Roberts. So I'm sure whatever's going on with any of these people, they will be found out if there's something fishy going on. But we've got a lot to talk about, a lot of information happening. Of course, a bunch of legal stuff, judges trying to stop everything and the whole 9 yards. Also got some interesting stuff brewing around potential peace with Russia. We've got, what else? We got Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and some pretty major stuff going on there around Tren de Aragua. Got a lot. Let's get into it and see what you guys think. Oh, I wanted to remind you guys, too, with the funny picture on the screen as well. I've got my live show that I'm going to be starting this week on Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be live on for at least the first 50-plus weeks, almost a year. I'm going to be doing Law of One stuff. I'm going to do 2 sessions each week. And there's 108 sessions or something like that. So it will take me a little while to get through it. I do consider this, in my opinion, some of the best channeled information that's out there. They went through great lengths to try to really make sure that it was a good channel. Take it for what it's worth. But I think the information contained in it is very powerful. I think it's a beautiful way to look at life, the universe, even the solar system. It talks about some of our history, talks about Mars, talks about a lot of really, really cool stuff. And it really gets into the two, I think, most important components, which is service to self and service to others, and the whole idea of how that works, how densities work, how dimensions kind of exist. A lot of very, very, very cool information is within those texts. So we will be listening to them. I'm actually going to voice over all the text. I've recorded 5 of them, I think, so far. I've still got to edit them, and I got to get that done like today. But I will be doing the voiceover on them. I'm planning on probably putting this up on that YouTube channel as well, but it's just going to be on this channel and probably that YouTube channel. I don't know. Maybe I'll upload it in the other channels too. Probably will, but it's only going to be live. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still trying to figure it out, guys. I think I've picked a couple things for a good intro. Again, just a lot happening and trying to pull stuff together last minute, which is just kind of how I roll. But anyway, all said, it should be a lot of fun this Thursday. Hopefully you guys can join. And if not, you can watch it afterwards. It's just as good. Toyota, they put this on the back of a Cybertruck. I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know if they literally put that on there. If they did, that's pretty sweet because it came out really well. Or if that's just someone that did the graphics or whatever. But still funny stuff. And it might work in some cases. Fires have returned back to the Carolinas, prompting evacuations and outside help. This poor state's getting destroyed. And again, for me, it's just so weird. Like California, we burn every year. That's just a normal thing. But some of these states don't seem like, they seem like states that generally get a lot of rain. And I guess there's a lot of dryness going on in our entire country. So, yeah, we're having all sorts of fun in that regards. Donald Trump truthed this out. I just watched our great Republican congressman from North Carolina, Chuck Edwards, hold a town hall in Asheville. He was a total gentleman, but the room was littered with radical left lunatics, mostly Democrats, and all they did was scream, shout, and use filthy language. They were largely paid agitators with fake signs and slogans and were only there to make trouble. Chuck put up with it and was wonderful. Remember, Biden and his FEMA did nothing for North Carolina in the terrible hurricane which did so much damage. As soon as I got to office, we worked miracles with zero help from the Dems. We have been praised for the job that we did, and the Democrats have been scorned. Also, remember, you have a Democrat governor who is supposed to be doing the work that Chuck and other Republicans are doing. Don't let infiltrated town halls fool you. It is the only thing the Dems know how to do. Great job, Chuck. Inorganic, this is kind of interesting. GPS data is revealing Bernie Sanders and AOC's anti-oligarchy rally. Well, they're calling out 34,000 people supposedly showed up. What they've got is the total number of cell phones in the area, your unique, distinct ones, is just under 30,000, which is, by the way, still a pretty hearty crowd. But the message is clear, right? No authoritarianism, no oligarchy, no Trumpism, yada, yada, yada. What they are finding, though, is that a lot of the, almost 20,000 devices, sorry, still quite a few. But what they're finding is a lot of these devices are the ones that are showing up in all these different places all over. They're basically professional protesters, professional whatever this is, right? 84% of the devices had attended 9 or more of Kamala Harris's rallies, Antifa, BLM, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian protests, and 31% had attended over 20. Now, what's hilarious is how many of these people don't actually realize this is happening, that we're actually paying attention. This was one of the things that I think Mike Lindell kind of brought up at his second symposium, right? When he, symposium? I don't know, whatever it was, the election thing. But he flew in the drone, and that drone picked up everybody, our phone numbers, every one of us, and dumped them into a spreadsheet. It was just like, crap. This is basically what's happening. And these people aren't very smart about it. So, strong chance we've, already infiltrated a lot of these organizations. Probably were infiltrated already, but now that we actually have control of the FBI for the most part, I think we're going to see things start to play out a little differently. Again, it's all how it's got to play out, and we'll see. This was posted, and really, really well put together thoughts on this whole tariff thing and what tariffs really actually are going to mean for this country. So once the tariffs go into effect on April 2nd, which I think is why April 2nd is such a big day, maybe we'll find out something else. I'm hearing so many people talk about it. It's weird. Trump's talked about April 2nd and tariffs multiple times. So I don't understand how we're making we're making a mountain out of a molehill, I think, but maybe I'll be the one that's wrong. We'll see. Happy to be. But once the tariffs go into effect on April 2nd, the USA trade policy will be changed for a very long time, if not forever. It's an inflection point. This is a very big deal, and I don't think most people understand the inflection point we are about to make. Some of the big money understands, hence the trillions pouring into the country. We are switching from using trade policy to push foreign policy to using trade policy to push economic policy. China adopted our type of trade policy with its Belt and Road to drive countries into their sphere of influence. We were losing with that trade policy because we couldn't match slave labor, automation in manufacturing, and government controlling the private sector. Even though, with open borders driving down wages and more government control of the private sector with regulations, we tried. Trump is totally abandoning that policy in that losing war. He started a whole new battle using our middle class to fight it, increasing our middle class with protection tariffs, securing our border to increase our middle class wages, using those wages and the increased purchasing power to make the USA the place to be to soak up supply. The revenues from tariffs will allow taxes to be reduced, creating more demand. China cannot match that demand because their middle class doesn't have the means, and their government will never allow the middle class to amass the means. It's totally opposed to Marxism to have a rich, vibrant middle class. As we know, governments in general, once they latch onto a new revenue stream fighting to end it, it is a multi-generational battle, it would seem. And it seems we're finally coming to terms with that here in this country. President Trump truthed this out. President Donald J. Trump today announced that the United States of America will be putting what is known as the secondary tariff on the country of Venezuela for numerous reasons, including the fact that Venezuela has purposefully and deceitfully sent to the United States undercover tens of thousands of high-level and other criminals, many of whom are murderers and people of a very violent nature. Among the gangs they sent to the United States is Tren de Aragua, which has been given the designation of foreign terrorist organization. We are in the process of returning them to Venezuela. It is a big task. In addition, Venezuela has been very hostile to the United States and the freedoms which we espouse. Therefore, any country that purchases oil and or gas from Venezuela will be forced to pay a tariff of 25% to the United States on any trade they do with our country. All documentation will be signed and registered, and the tariff will take place on April 2nd, 2025, Liberation Day in America. Please let this notification serve to represent that the Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and all other law enforcement agencies within our country have been so notified. Thank you for your attention to this matter. But he is calling it the Liberation Day of America, April 2nd. He's been referring to it as such. And these tariffs are going to be a big deal. One, it's going to bring balance back to this trade war that's been going on. Two, it's going to start actually bringing some income into the United States. Could be significant. And by doing those things, should, one, help balance the budget, which we've come to find out from Lutnick. Once the budget's balanced, Trump's already agreed, yeah, we can go ahead and kill any taxation of anyone making under $150,000 a year. That's pretty dang awesome. So Liberation Day is coming. President Trump said on Monday he will, in the very near future, announce tariffs on automobiles, aluminum, and pharmaceuticals. We've been ripped off by every country, Trump said as he presided over a meeting of his cabinet. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, speaking at the same meeting, said on April 2nd, which Trump has targeted to impose a slew of tariffs, the United States will launch what he called the External Revenue Service. It's going to be a big day. What this also implies, folks, is things are about to heat up in the markets, not just here, but worldwide. And worldwide markets definitely affect our market. Our market definitely affects other markets. I'm telling you, and I don't know how much time we got, but I am like kind of hitting this a lot harder than I ever did before, because we're at the point now where like I'm hoping to grab the last few of you. There's still a lot of growth left in precious metals. Right now, gold easily can go up about another 2,000 points. In fact, I'm super curious where we're at right now in the big picture. Where are we at right now? We're at, cool, just barely over 3,000. That's groovy. Came down about $50. Not bad. And silver's down a teeny bit. Again, it's been going up, and it goes down, it goes up, so wonderful. Stock markets are up a little bit today, which is great. You got some of your losses back. In fact, it looks like NASDAQ's having a reasonably good day. So this is a perfect time because we don't exactly know when this wobbling top will actually fall, but we can see it wobbling. We know what Trump's about to do is going to cause additional wobble. I don't know how much time you've got before the stock market has a very, very bad day/week. It's most likely coming. Again, can't prove it, don't know, right? They all tell us everything's going to be groovy and great. I think at some point, who knows, the market might be a totally different thing, but again, it's right now it's based on the Federal Reserve note, which is not long for this world, I don't think either. And we've got a lot of DEI funding. We've got a lot of deep state companies that are in the stock markets, and we've also got a lot of USAID money that's never, ever going to get back to those companies. I just highly recommend getting out. My good friends at Goldco can help you. They're very, very good at this. Tax-free, penalty-free. They move you sideways. They don't actually send you the money of the 401k because that's when you get penalized and taxed like majorly. And that's why they don't send you the physical metals when you purchase those as well, because that's the same thing as cashing out. But they do, in fact, buy physical metals for you. They go in, I don't know, like a tube or something. They go into a little trust in an area. It's safe. And it is your precious metals, and you can actually get them sent to you if you want, or you can even cash them out for money if you so desire. The Goldco's got the highest price buyback guarantee as well. They'll also match up to 10% of the face value of your 401k or IRA. Something to look into, no matter what you've got going on. I don't recommend staying in the stock market. I recommend hugely into diversifying a good chunk of that, if not even more. I know Goldco doesn't recommend going over 50%. I know I did. Let's put it that way. I went all in. I mean, I got a lot of precious metals. I own a couple stocks, but it's just because I kind of had to, and Rumble's part of that. Like, I've got some specific stuff. It's not like I'm all over the place, right? Like, I'm not in a fund somewhere. And I think that's the important part. If you're in a fund, it's hard to know what they're trying to accomplish within that fund. Who's really behind controlling that fund? Do we trust them completely? I don't. That's me. You know, you don't have to believe all the crazy crap I do. I certainly know Goldco doesn't. They just do what they do excellent. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. That's drslikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you. All right, we got some more stuff here. What's this one? I forget what's what. Hopefully this, I try actually, there we go. Helps when you hit the buttons correctly. Special envoy Steve Witkoff says Vladimir Putin did something very touching, and Trump was very touched. It's cool. Check this out.
In the second visit that I had, it got personal. The President Putin had commissioned a beautiful portrait of President Trump from the leading Russian artist, and actually gave it to me and asked me to take it home to President Trump. which I brought home and delivered to him. It's been reported in the paper, but it was such a gracious moment, and told me a story, Tucker, about how when the president was shot, he went to his local church and met with his priest and prayed for the president, not because he was the president of he could become the president of the United States, but because he had a friendship with him and he was praying for his friend. It was, I mean, can you imagine sitting there and listening to these kind of conversations? And I came home and delivered that message to our president and delivered the painting, and he was clearly touched by it. So this is the kind of connection that we've been able to reestablish through, by the way, a simple word called communication.
Yeah, something Biden never did. They stopped talking when when Putin came in, right? So that was it. That was the end of the talking. So here's where AG Pam Bondi is warning Jasmine Crockett, and we'll get to her in a second. She's saying all sorts of crazy stuff. Now, the thing I've got is actually something additional crazy that Jasmine Crockett's said, but she's actually called for essentially attacks against Musk/Tesla. So this is what Pam Bondi's specifically referring to with Maria Bartiromo.
Years in prison. We are not negotiating these. We are not coming off these charges. We are looking at everything, especially if this is a concerted effort. This is domestic terrorism. And Maria, now you have this Congresswoman Crockett who is calling for attacks on Elon Musk on her birthday. Let's take him out on my birthday, she says. And yet she turns and says, oh, I'm not calling for violence. Well, she is an elected public official. And so she needs to tread very carefully, because nothing will happen to Elon Musk, and we're going to fight to protect all of the Tesla owners throughout this country, and it's this basic safety. Once again, domestic terrorism is going to come to a stop in our country.
Well, it's just extraordinary to me that you've got this resistance coming back. We saw the resistance in President Trump's first term, but then after that massive win in November where he won the popular vote and all the
years.
Now, I still think the first arrest will set the tone. I mean, that was one of the Q posts, and I still think that is going to be a significant aspect of what we experience, what we see happening. And who that is, I don't know, be interesting, because essentially politicians that are making threats like this, Maxine Waters, a lot of these people are saying things that you shouldn't say. You're inciting violence, and that's not legal. So how this happens, I don't know, but I don't believe anybody can go on media and ask for people to attack others. That's it's inciting violence, essentially. It's kind of almost worse than yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. So that's not going to fly. And if they keep doing that, they're going to have problems. Well, here's Rep. Jasmine Crockett talking about Democrats and how they've got to win in Texas.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. You know, I think, and I love Colin, and I think towards the end he started to punch a little harder. But, like, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right? Like, there is no niceties with him, like, at all. Like, you go clean off on him, right?
That's inciting violence. This is another example of it. Would not surprise me if she's one of the first people to get arrested. Now, what would happen likely from that too, if you think about it, because it's almost guaranteed going to be a colored person that gets arrested for this, because it's like mostly them that are doing this right now. I don't know why. Not all black people in Congress, just a few select ones seem to be the bad mouths. AOC's not even stupid enough to talk like that. But we've got a few. Maxine Waters does it. There's been a few of them, right? The Squad, they tend to say stuff that's not okay. I mean, AOC's part of that, but I think she's one of the smarter ones, to be honest with you. So yeah, straight up saying, got to smack him over the head. How was that okay? Now, at a Tesla showroom in Austin, Texas, multiple incendiary devices were found. They called the cops. They came in. They were definitely incendiary devices. They were able to collect them. No one was harmed. No damage was caused. But we've now got bombs being planted inside of Tesla facilities, Tesla stores. Now, here's the best part. I almost guarantee these people are going to be seen and caught. Again, the security that exists on or around these cars, as well as potentially that same technology that scans for cell phones, because most people have phones with them wherever they go. Not real smart, but it's happening. Here's Kash Patel. He's actually a really good double interview. I'm not going to play the second part. I thought the first part was better, but it was pretty good. Talking about Kash really sort of just kind of taking charge and cleaning stuff up, and I love it.
Now, welcome, Director Patel. Thank you for joining us. You've been on the job for about a month now, so tell us what you've seen and what you've learned.
Well, Trey, it's great to be with you, and I wanted to stay radio silent for the first month, just to laser focus on restoring law enforcement and the credibility and the trust of the American people and getting the weaponization out of there. And in order to do that, you need a strong Department of Justice, and we have a courageous leader in Attorney General Pam Bondi and her team over there. And we have to remind the folks in the American public that the FBI reports to the Department of Justice, and the FBI does not make prosecutorial decisions. We investigate based on lawful predications anywhere the facts lead us, and we work with our partners at DOJ. So that collaboration has been absolutely brilliant to set the new foundation for the FBI that we want to see serve the American people. And that's what we've been focusing on, is restoring the trust through the chain of command and through great leaders like Pam and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and PADAC Emil Bome.
All right, Director, you've been very intentional about moving agents out of D.C. and back into the field, which is where they really ought to be. Why is that important to you?
Well, Trey, this is my first media appearance since taking the job, and I'm glad that it's on your wonderful show. And what I want to do is highlight for the American public that there's 38,000 employees at the FBI. If you take the national capital region, as the folks around Washington, D.C. call it, the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., we have 11,000 employees for the FBI in that 50-mile radius, give or take. And a third of the crime does not happen in this region. A large portion of one of my priorities, fighting violent crime, crushing narco traffickers, stopping fentanyl overdoses, is happening in any town USA across this country. And they need resources in the form not just of money, but manpower. So we're going to reorient our assets in Washington. We're going to look at it strategically, as we've been doing the last month, and send our agents and analysts and SOS operatives into the field to take on this violent crime explosion that has occurred over these last 4 or 5 years, and to make sure that every state and every county, be it in my hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada, or up in Montana or in Kansas or Iowa or Maine, is all safe and secure. And the best way to do that is through a proper show of force with the FBI men and women who do this job so courageously every day out in the streets fighting crime.
All right, Director, you have touched on my next question, but I want you to elaborate because I think it is central to your mission as you see it. The FBI has really broad jurisdiction. All criminal statutes are important to enforce, but your emphasis sounds to me like it's going to be on violent crime.
It's definitely going to be a big emphasis. Look, Trey, you and I have been in government service before, and we overlapped in the House Intelligence Committee, where we exposed the largest corruption in FBI history during Russiagate when you and I partnered there. And that formed the foundation of my ethos going forward. We have to change to the dynamic threat landscape that is changing constantly in not just America, but abroad. Back then, CT and national security were up here, but now we see the narco traffickers and the gangs exploding in terms of violence in America, so we see that shift. And so we have to shift with that threat dynamic. We're not going to forget or ignore national security. Never. The consequential mission of the FBI is to safeguard our citizenry and our way of life and to investigate those that do harm to our citizenry. But right now, the major portion of that focus is on sex trafficking, is on fentanyl and heroin overdoses, and is on violent crime in the form of gang murders and homicides and rapes. Every 7 minutes in this country, Trey, a individual American citizen overdoses on a drug, a narcotic. Every 6.5 minutes, a woman or child is raped. And twice an hour, an individual in this country is lost because of a homicide. That is violent crime out of control. That is a national security crisis. So we are treating it as such under this administration with President Trump's priorities and Attorney General Bondi at the helm of the Department of Justice. I don't know how or why the American public in the world refused to acknowledge this explosion in violent crime and found it acceptable for children to be dying off at such a vast rate. Couple that with the explosion in illegal aliens, we are seeing the intersection between violent crime and so many of those illegals. And that's another priority that we're facilitating and assisting with, though that's not our primary mission. That's over with DHS.
All right, Director, I want to ask you about something that I've known you a long time. You don't want to talk about, and that is yourself. But when you were nominated, I told folks that you would be a lot more fair to your critics than they ever were to you. But it's hard to forget what others have said and done. So how do you put that blindfold on and be fair even to those who were never fair to you?
Well, Trey, as I tell everybody at the FBI when I walk in the building, I don't care what the media says about me. There's nothing they can tell me that I haven't heard. As long as I'm taking the arrows and the men and women of the FBI aren't, I'm winning every single day. And I learned from your great mentorship and friendship on the House Intelligence Committee, where we served together, where we said the priority here is the truth and serving the American people. And that lesson that I learned with you and so many of the brave men and women on the House Intelligence Committee has stuck with me to this day. Now, also, I got to add in here, Trey, I know I was nominated by President Trump and I had a lot of support, but a big thanks to you for reaching out to the community that you have on Capitol Hill, and your voice was heard in those hallways to carry that message and penetrate and break through that glass charade that was, oh, Kash Patel cannot lead the FBI because he's too political. But as you just pointed out, I may be one of the most falsely maligned people in all of government service, and I don't care if they continue to falsely malign me. What I cared about is the leaders and the American people saw that in 16 years of apolitical government service, I was there to put the mission first. And I'm indebted to you for allowing me to continue in our friendship and your guidance on the Hill during that process.
Well, you're welcome, Director, but all I did was ask the senators to give you a chance. You're the one that won the argument. I just got you in the courthouse, but you're the one that won the argument. More with FBI Director Kash Patel when Sunday Night in America returns. We'll be right back.
Still think that is a weird-looking dude. I don't know what it is. But Trey's a good guy, I guess, I think. But, yeah, just a strange-looking dude. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, people. Don't know. New York Police Department sergeant is suspended without pay. That's how serious this is. Over spying for the Chinese. Zhu Jiang, who serves in a unit that investigates healthcare fraud, has had access to highly sensitive information, has been suspended without pay from the department, a police spokesman said. Jiang, who's Asian, they say. He serves out as of the Jacob K. Javits building at 26 Federal Plaza. So, yeah, they were, I guess he joined back in 2013. Let's see, he earned a lot of money a year. Are you going to tell us better what he did? Featured in a Chinese language piece in the Epoch Times. Got the post because he was one of the few NYPD officers who spoke the Fuzhou dialect of the Chinese, which is prevalent in that area. Second NYPD officer to be suspected of spying for China in the past 12 months. Interesting. Lieutenant Stephen Lee was fired in May of last year, and Lee was working in the Internal Affairs Bureau when he put a Chinese official in touch with a woman he knew. So the woman, Sun Hoi Ying, I'm sure I'm jacking all these names up, was in the United States as part of Operation Fox Hunt, a program to persuade fugitives to return to China. I don't know, some weird stuff. Whatever the case is, he's been suspended without pay. Maybe we'll find out more as it moves forward. Donald Trump put this out. It's pretty freaking cool, frankly. Nothing like this ever happened when Biden was in office, that's for sure. But just it's a cap of all the investments. It's not all of them, because I've got two more I'm going to share. But UAE, $1.4 trillion. We got Saudi Arabia at $600 billion. Hyundai, at $20 billion. I do have Hyundai. Okay. Apple, $500 billion. Nvidia, over $100 billion. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, over $100 billion. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, $100 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. CMA CGM Group, $20 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Merck, $1 billion. And GE Aerospace, $1 billion. A lot of money. Also, Rolls-Royce, planning to shift production to the United States to avoid Trump tariffs, says a report that's out there, which would be pretty awesome. So they're going to start making those engines here. That should be fun-tabulous. And yeah, Hyundai, we already mentioned. I thought it wasn't in that list. Miranda Devine has posted this. Trump is going to grant a full pardon to Hunter Biden's whistleblower, Devon Archer. You guys remember Devon, right? Yeah, apparently he's going to get himself a full pardon for all the wonderful, helpful things he's done. And this dude played it right and played it well. Been very impressed. Even while he's been in jail, he's just like, yep, I'm where I'm at for a reason. He kind of accepted his punishment and obviously kind of helped stop the Bidens from doing some of the horrific stuff they were planning on doing. FEMA's response to Hurricane Helene, quite possibly one of the worst responses. I don't know. We had a Katrina, I think, was the other one that was really, really bad. That was George Bush, right? So not uncommon for FEMA to suck. They're actually going to get looked into by the Oversight Committee, the Oversight of Federal Emergency Management Agency. Whatever the case is, they're going to be kind of meeting with Congress here and have to answer some questions. And I think it's good, too, because we know we're going to get honest answers now. And we weren't going to before. A lot of the stonewalling and all that stuff's not happening anymore either because it's our people and we're trying to be as transparent as possible. Of course, it's about the last administration, but we'll see what happens when the next emergency happens. But they still a lot of money they're trying to move through. There's crap tons of money that they're eventually supposed to move through. It does seem extraordinarily slow. I mean, they're obviously trying to speed that up. Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, is threatening to block media mergers based on corporate DEI policies. Brandon Carr, the new chair, has basically said, look, here's the thing. It comes down to making sure that companies are helping forward the basically what the United States is, right? It's going to be in the public interest. And right now, since DEI and all that stuff is not in the public interest, it goes against what President Trump's trying to do. That literally Brandon Carr's like, no, we're literally not going to probably allow these companies to get FCC licenses and stuff. So he also mentioned several pending transactions, including Paramount's merger with Skydance, Verizon's $20 billion deal for Frontier Communications, and U.S. Cellular's $4.4 billion wireless unit sale to T-Mobile. Those might not be able to happen. And so we'll see what happens. The game is being played. Stacey Abrams founded a nonprofit and faces a crackdown threat from the House GOP's top tax writer. It's a pretty cool little piece that Laura Ingraham did with Lee Zeldin talking about it. Check it out.
The EP head himself, Lee Zeldin. All right, Mr. Administrator, can you explain what the heck happened here and how another slush fund has been exposed?
So this is $2 billion of that $20 billion that was parked at this bank outside of government towards the end of the Biden administration. Power Forward Communities, which Stacey Abrams is part of, only received $100 in 2023. They then got $2 billion in this grant in 2024. Now, I was just reading over the grant agreement, Laura. On the first page, it gives the organization, this nonprofit, 21 days to distribute $2 billion. But this is the crazy part. I went to page 7 of the grant agreement, and it's giving the entity 90 days to complete a training called How to Develop a Budget. Now, I would say that if an organization needs to take a training on how to develop a budget, one, they should be taking the training before they're spending $1, but they definitely shouldn't be getting $2 billion.
She's quite something, right? She loses in Georgia, and then she goes on to be she's really an aggregator of, fraud and corruption in the fact, if this is how you view government, it's just a place where you can reward your friends and fund your pet projects and call them green, and then everyone feels good about it. But the Citibank accounts where this money was held, has that money itself been now frozen? Is there actual fraud, do you think, in these payments, or was it just the usual nonsense they were pulling at the end of an administration?
The entire scheme as set up is fraud. It's wasteful. It is abuse. We just had another example come out over the last 24 hours where $5 billion went to another recipient. That person was the director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. He comes from this fund, joins the Biden administration, becomes the director of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and then gave $5 billion to his recently left former employer. That sounds like self-dealing. That sounds like a conflict of interest. And the other problem is that all of this money was put up front. It wasn't like there was performance. You show performance, then you ask for the next tranche. It was, here's $20 billion. And it was going to their friends on the left, as opposed to making sure that the money is going directly towards the purpose that you allegedly said this money was needed for in the first place. If you care about clean air, land, and water, if you think there's some community that's been left behind, then why aren't you spending the dollar actually remediating that issue instead of paying off your friend?
Well, Lee, we have Rosa DeLauro, Murray, Merkley, all these lefties now demanding answers from you. They say your cuts, your spending cuts, your freezes of spending are going to devastate programs that provide clean drinking water and other important environmental, help to people in need. But they're really laying it on thick in Congress, specifically about what you're doing.
I'm not going to waste a penny. I'm a zero tolerance. And Congress should want me to ensure that there's accountability and oversight. The way the agreements were written, when the money goes through the eight primary recipients receiving $20 billion as a pass-through, when it goes to the sub-grantees, the EPA isn't even a party to those account control agreements. The EPA actually put in writing that we would have less oversight and accountability, and many of those sub-grantees are also pass-throughs. The members of Congress, they should all be outraged. They should be upset that tax dollars are getting squandered, as opposed to trying to make me want to just close my eyes and allow this to play out. We're not going to allow it to happen. The Trump administration has zero tolerance for this.
I love how they're demanding answers from you. You're demanding answers from them. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Lee, thank you very much.
The level of corruption is just insane. It's just absolutely insane. And we're seeing it play out. We're finding out about it. But they're fighting us tooth and nail, obviously. And we've got judges that are essentially stopping us for now, anyways. And we got a whole big section on that crap. AG Pam Bondi announces that the DOJ will prosecute any fraud uncovered by the DOJ. This is another powerful set of remarks from her.
Is doing such a fantastic job. I thought maybe you could say a few words.
Thank you, President. As far as we are hearing a lot about fraud, waste, and abuse, a lot of waste and abuse, but there is a tremendous amount of fraud. And Elon, thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your team. You have uncovered so much fraud in our government, and we will prosecute you. We have an internal task force now working with every agency sitting here at this table. And if you've committed fraud, we're coming after you. Thank you, Elon, for that. On the violent crime level, thanks to President Trump's directive, we are seeking the death penalty again. So all of these horrible, violent criminals that you're hearing about around the country, they will face the death penalty federally within our country. And the drug dealers need to get out of here because we are coming after you. We're going to have 94 great U.S. attorneys around this country, and everyone will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
And still not fond of the death penalty, but I get it. I get where people come from. Just kind of publicly, I have to. It's a karma thing, really, frankly, because I don't have any ability to end anyone's life. That's not my place to ever is never ever in my place to decide when somebody should live or die. I leave that up to God. Thank you very much. Waltz is telling Iran to give up its nuclear program or there will be consequences. This is it. It's black and white. It's a binary thing. This or that. You either completely give up your nuclear ambitions or else. Now, they will eventually agree to this. But what it takes to get to that point, I don't know. We're going to find out, probably. Hopefully it happens sooner than later. I'd love it. That'd be fantastic. But it will ultimately happen. Another great truth from Mr. Trump. It is with great pleasure that I am announcing Alina Habba Esquire, who is currently serving as counselor to the president and has represented me for a long time, will be our interim U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey, her home state, effective immediately. Alina will lead with the same diligence and conviction that has defined her career, and she will fight tirelessly to secure a legal system that is both fair and just for the wonderful people of New Jersey. Additionally, John Giordano, who has done a terrific job as the interim U.S. attorney in New Jersey, will now be nominated as the new ambassador to Namibia. Namibia. I don't know if that's Nambia. I thought Nambia was the country. Namibia, I guess. Congratulations to Alina and John. I don't know if that's a typo or if literally I just don't know which country that is, because that's also very easily possible. Could I look it up? Sure. What the hell? Let's do it really fast. Namibia. Actually a state or country? Travel to Namibia. It is. Holy crap. Is there actually a Namibia? Or am I just, that's where my stupid comes in? Let's find out how stupid I am right here, guys. Yeah, it's Namibia. All right. Yeah. So I've always been special. Hurts, but sometimes you've just got to learn these things so you can grow. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis returns nearly $1 billion in unused federal funds. Who does that? It's outstanding, dude. A state giving back a bunch of money. One, there was really no way to do it. Apparently, Elon Musk shows up down in Florida, spends one day there, and within one day, they're now able to do something they weren't able to do, or that would have taken weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, there was no methodology. They literally tried to give it back to Biden, and Biden's like, we don't know how to do that. We don't ever take money back. We just blow it out. So, yeah, kind of cool. There's basically saying, hey, other states, you should do the same thing and be smart. So we'll see which states are willing to give up their extra money. I still don't think there's going to be very many of them, but we'll find out. North Carolina mother and son can now sue a public school system and a doctors group on allegations they gave the boy a COVID-19 vaccine without consent. I kind of vaguely remember the story. The state Supreme Court ruled this on Friday, reversing a lower court decision that declared a federal health emergency law blocked the litigation. Trial judge and later the state court of appeals had ruled against Emily Happel and her son, Tanner Smith, who at age 14 received the vaccination in August 2021 despite his protests at a testing and vaccination clinic at a Guilford County High School. Guilford County High School, according to the family's lawsuit. Something to the effect of he didn't want to, the mom didn't want him to get the shot. They sort of took him and forced him to get it anyway, which, it's just all sorts of wrong. So now the kid's been kind of irreparably changed or harmed, or possibly. I mean, you can't undo it. I know many people that are pro-vaccine would be like, it's just a vaccine, there's nothing wrong with it. And it's like, most of us don't agree with that. That's the problem, right? Supreme Court's going to hear Louisiana race and redistricting case. This is the one I was referring to earlier. So it's like, okay, that's cool. Supreme Court on Monday, they're going to hear arguments in a Louisiana case involving politics, race, and voting maps. Apparently, the voter lines or the congressional districts were drawn. There are like 6 congressional districts, 4 represented by Republicans and 2 by Democrats. The Democrat districts are majority black residents. A group of non-black citizens is challenging those Democratic districts, saying the state relied too much on race as a factor in how the lines were drawn. The group is requesting that the state only have one majority black district. So they're trying to argue that this is under the Equal Protections Clause, that this is going to allow the minority voter rights to be fair, and it gives more power in the state because they've got 2 districts that are predominantly black, and of course black districts tend to vote blue, but that's actually changing. But this is a big part. Republicans have a pretty razor-thin majority, I guess, in that state, so this does matter. It's interesting, again, that Supreme Court's going to hear that case, but they're not touching any of this other crap right now. Why is that? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But so there we go on that. I just want to remind you guys, of course, of the Healthy Home. Where the hell are you? There you are. My goodness. DanRadioStyle.healthyhome.com. DanRadioStyle.healthyhome.com. Just incredible products. I guess, I don't know, one of the people, Nana, she got these in the mail, so I guess I'll just show you guys. This is how big the pills are for the STEM Active. She said these are huge. I didn't touch that one, but I don't. I've definitely taken larger pills, I guess, but they're awesome. So if that's too big a pill for you, then they do have a STEM Active gel. Essentially, stem cells, what this does is it enhances the number of stem cells that your body creates all on its own. Stem cells are androgynous, and they basically are they're non-anything cell, and then they can become anything. So you got a heart that needs healing, or you've got a lung that needs healing, or muscles or joints that need healing. Stem cells are what rush to those places, and then they become the cell of whatever that thing is. And they're that cell for the rest of their lives. They don't go back to being, a stem cell when they're done. No, they become a heart cell, or they become a lung cell. So this enhances the number of stem cells in your bodies by like 25 to 40%, like a lot. in a very, very short period of time. From the minute this stuff gets in you, we're talking within less than an hour, you've already got an enhanced number of stem cells within your own body. So these are your healing cells. Anybody that's going through anything that's a healing process in any way, shape, or form. Anyone that's got damage. I have dislocated my left shoulder in the past. I was having issues with it. It is no longer sore, able to work out. I don't have any pain at all in my shoulder. My girlfriend's actually noticing a lot of difference. She's still real stiff in the morning. Again, I'm curious, like, she's got a really bad, I mean, literally it shows up in the x-ray. You can see the calcification. So I saw it when I walked in. The doctor wasn't even there yet, and I'm looking at her x-ray, and I'm like, well, that looks like that's your problem right there. And that was exactly what the problem was. He goes, you've got calcification, and he circles it with his hand. And I'm like, I looked at her, and I said, see? So it's helping her too. I know a lot of people that are on this for the same reasons. It just helps healing. So keep it in mind. The gel is just a liquid, basically. Gets into your body a lot quicker. And this is really fast already because it's the gel caps. So whatever. Balance is like a hormone supplement. It's not a supplement. It's a bad way to put it. It helps your body regulate its own hormones. And this is for women that are kind of going through the change. Again, don't know anything about it at all. And I'm not even going to pretend I do. Yeah. But this is a bunch of stuff that actually helps your body deal with that hormonal issue, an imbalance, essentially, as that change starts to occur. It's supposed to be really, really good. I'm curious if any women ever tell me. I don't know if anyone's bought it. I can't see when you guys what you buy, but yeah. So balance is supposed to help with the change, and it's supposed to make a major difference. Plants, 14 different plant-based ingredients that are in there. It helps restore energy, uplifts mood, enhances sleep, and supports well-being. I don't know if it helps with the temperature issues too. I think it kind of helps with a lot of that stuff, so something to keep in mind. Collagen support, this is just this peptide, this collagen peptide, it's a great form of collagen. It's liquid as well, it gets into your body very quickly, helps your hair, nails, skin, joints, all that stuff, all those things. It helps tremendously. AO12 gets antioxidants out of your body, and it's extraordinarily good, and antioxidants are really what cause aging. They just bump up to things and yank off part of the molecule, and then that molecule changes, may live, it may die, but it is very dangerous. A lot of the free radicals we've got floating around in our bodies. This actually helps remove the free radicals. It attacks them before they're able to attack you. And Prime is the one I love. I've actually just down like the last couple packets, but these little teeny packets are awesome. You do one of those a day, gives great energy. I notice almost immediately. And STEM Active for your pets. You got a pet that's going through like surgery or anything like that, I just highly recommend you get this. It will enhance the healing of the animal while it's going through whatever it's going through. Or if you've got an animal that's kind of got some joint issues as well, I don't know if it'll help with hip dysplasia. I think you're kind of genetically screwed sort of with those, but it can help with joint stuff. And it's just, again, the stem cell thing really, really helps. I'm really surprised at how well it's worked on my shoulder. It's just a trip. I kind of had pain a lot. And so again, it's one of those things, I talk about it in manifesting. When you want to manifest health, you do things that are healthy. What are healthy things? Well, taking products for your health, that's a healthy thing. Doing workouts and regular exercise, that's a healthy thing. Eating healthier foods, that's a healthy thing. It's like focusing on doing healthy things and being healthy and do like that, that's how you manifest health. Rather than focusing on the disease or what's affecting you or whatever and trying to get rid of it, just focus on being healthy and imagine healthy, and you actually start to make decisions that are healthy. So danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. And also for a lot of the content creators, I highly recommend you consider the join button. You hit join, you actually get your own site, you get your own link. You can start advertising these products as well. And these products are easy. They sell themselves. They're very good. And, you know, you could be making the commission. I love it that you're going to be buying from me, but no, you can join and create your own thing. Now, again, it's not necessarily worth it if you're just going to be buying product yourself, but if you're actually going to be trying to promote it in any way, shape, or form, even if it's just to friends of yours, yeah, it's definitely worth it. I would definitely check out the join button. Of course, use Dan Radio Style as your sponsor or however it does. I think if you do it from my channel, it won't matter. It does it for you. But all said, very awesome product line, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think it's incredible. The girlfriend, she calls it her, what's she call it, her vitamins? Yeah, she calls it her vitamins, but she loves the collagen and the stem cells. So it's good stuff. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. All right, let's get into all this legal crap. All right, so as the White House claims that the courts have blocked President Trump's executive orders at a particularly high rate, it's also true The White House critics argue that simply ignoring those rulings would undermine checks and balances established by the Constitution. So what's interesting is the big picture. So nationwide injunctions against recent presidents. George Bush had 6. Obama had 12. Trump, in his first term only, had 64. 64 in his first term only. And Biden, 14. I think 3 of those were because of student loans. At least, I think 15 injunctions have so far been issued in Trump's second term. So on top of the 64, there's another 15 against Trump. There's an overwhelming number of these against Trump. Georgia Republican Rep. Andrew Clyde, he's formally introducing his articles of impeachment against a Rhode Island judge who previously ordered the Trump administration to unfreeze federal funds. This is Judge John James McConnell Jr. is who he is doing this. I think they've tried to file impeachment articles against a number of these justices. I know there's a lot of people pushing how this is technically treason. I don't know. I think they're doing it because they feel like they can stop Trump. I don't think they're necessarily doing it because isn't treason, and forgive me if I'm wrong on this, guys, and you can correct me, but I mean, a lot of people want to call it treason because it's going against the United States, but I think treason generally, isn't that when you help a foreign, like your enemy, when you help your enemy intentionally? Now, if they're being paid for by like Soros or something, yeah, that's probably treason. But if they're just doing it because they're Democrats and they're hardcore lefty progressives and they just want to F Trump, and that's really all I'd ever have to admit to, I don't think that's treason. I just don't. We did the same thing to Biden, and thank God we were able to, but they hated us for doing it then. We're hating them for doing it to us. The Supreme Court should get involved. I don't think we ever had quite as aggressive stuff, especially the idea of like you have to pay or you have to hire back everybody. Like this kind of crap is pretty insane. Like it's one thing to stop him from firing additional people. It's another thing to insist you hire everyone back. I don't think the courts have that right. And I think that's where they're way overstepping their bounds. And that's where I think the Supreme Court should definitely get involved. Again, this is a complex thing. I know a lot of people in my audience are like, we got to impeach him. All right. I mean, again, I'm just saying my thing, but it is what it is. This is Boasberg. This is his whole memorandum. He talked about this whole Venezuelan non-citizen being held in Texas by the Department of Homeland Security, sought emergency relief in this court. They justifiably feared that in a matter of hours, they might be removed from the country pursuant not to the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, but instead the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a law last invoked in the wake of the Pearl Harbor as the nation was preparing for World War. The act authorizes the president to summarily remove native citizen denizens or subjects, I should say, of a hostile nation or government when there is declared war against it, when it has perpetrated, attempted, or threatened against the territory of the United States, an invasion or predatory incursion. Now, he's, I think, doubting that this is actually the case, or this is what he feels, I think, needs to be proved. I don't know. Boasberg kind of says a few decent things, if you will, but I think he's lying on the law here a little bit. And again, this isn't necessarily treason in my mind. It's him, I think, utilizing the law in a way that allows him to stop Trump. I mean, again, Trump already did it, so it's kind of funny. It still feels like a moot point. And yeah, this court need not resolve the thorny question of whether the judiciary has the authority to assess this claim in the first place. That is because plaintiffs are likely to succeed on another equally fundamental theory before they may be deported. They are entitled to individualized hearings to determine whether the act applies to them at all. As the government itself concedes, the awesome power granted by the act may be brought to bear only on those who are, in fact, alien enemies. And the Supreme Court and this circuit have long maintained that federal courts are equipped to adjudicate that question when individuals threatened with a detention and removal challenge their designation as such. Because the named plaintiffs dispute that they are members of Tren de Aragua, they may not be deported until a court has been able to decide the merits of their challenge. Nor may any members of the provisionally certified class be removed until they have been given the opportunity to challenge their designations as well. The motion to vacate will thus be denied. Now, what's weird is I would still suggest or argue that if these guys are, one, here illegally, two, have actually broken the law while being here, then we ought to be able to deport them no matter what, right? So I feel like the whole court case on this is around the fact of whether or not they're Tren de Aragua and then can be deported because of this act. But if these individuals have in fact committed crimes, now maybe these three didn't. Maybe they were higher up the food chain. So I don't know all the specifics about these three individuals. And frankly, they're already back home, so kind of don't care. But there are some fun questions, I think, around this whole thing. Tom Homan, of course, our borders are, if you didn't know that. He's got some statements to make here as far as on the immigration laws and what he's been involved with and how he's been making a difference in his numbers.
They were given due process according to the laws on the books. See, that's the difference between the Trump administration and Biden administration. We're actually using the laws on the books to enforce immigration law and secure the border at the highest level it's ever been. The Biden administration not only ignored the law, they violated the law. Like District Court and District 5 said that not only are they violating law, they're actually ignoring the law altogether. We are using the laws on the books to enforce our borders, immigration laws, and the interior enforcement enforcement. If you look at the border numbers are down 96%. We already got 40,000 criminals removed by ICE in the interior, which more was done in 6 weeks than the Biden administration did in a year. We're using the laws on the books. We're not making this up. Everything we've done is based on a statute that was enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The president quickly, by proclamation, invoked the authorities he has under an Alien Enemies Act, which he's allowed to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's, again, we are doing what I think we legally are allowed to, but this has just never been done before. So, again, that Donald Trump obviously has things to say about this particular judge, and we know he's got some interesting conflicts of interest, his daughter, his wife. This judge is almost as conflicted, actually, not even close, as the judge whose daughter made millions of dollars representing Biden-Harris against me. While her father presided over a fake case against me and refused to recuse himself, he should be disbarred. Crooked Alvin Bragg was the DA in that case, and they put me under a gag order so that I could not talk about it. Miscarriage of justice. And of course, he's referencing this judge who blocked Trump's deportations, took junket to events with anti-Trump speakers and sponsors. So, yeah, the dude's anti-Trump. Theoretically, I mean, Clarence Thomas is political, so does that mean anytime he's seen anything like that's slightly political that he's got to disengage from it because he's a Republican and he's admitted it publicly? I mean, so again, we've got to use the same standards, and I just don't. I think a lot of us don't right now. I think there's a lot of people that are like, "Well, we've got to impeach, and he shouldn't be able to do that. He's done political stuff. He's donated," and it's like, yeah, but all I got to do is say I can still be impartial. And I don't know. I didn't read the entirety of their post. I read a bunch of it, and I mean it sounded all correct legally. You know what I mean? It sounded like he was using a legal argument. I don't agree with it. I mean, that's what's fun about the law, and that's why the Supreme Court ultimately is going to have to get this, or at least the appellate court. But that's how these district courts work. They find somebody, they take it to a district court. The district court literally has the power, or at least so it thinks, which is interesting because that really does put that power at the equal of the Supreme Court. That's what's shocking about it. It's a court, so the district court, and then if when that's done, they appeal. When they appeal, it appeals to the regular appellate court, just like a regular normal lower judge, but not district judge, right? If they do it and then you appeal it, it goes to the same appellate court. But the district judge is like that first step, then it goes to appellate court, and then it would go to the Supreme Court if there was going to be continued appeal process. So the fact that district courts, that'd be like just like a regular Joe Schmo, like Judge Wapner or Judge Judy, right? Having the ability to be able to shut down the government because, a divorce case or something, right? It's insane. Trump administration planning to extradite 3 alleged Tren de Aragua members to Chile. I'm assuming this is a different 3, but now he's talking about sending them to Chile. I don't know if it's because that's where they're from. Not sure, right? Department said 3 TDA members named, and they give us their names. They illegally entered the United States after committing horrific crimes in Chile. Oh, so they committed crimes in Chile, then they came here. Oh, so we're just like sending them back to Chile. Be like, Chile, you guys want these guys back? They did a bunch of crimes in your area. And Chile's like, hell yeah, we will throw a rock at them. Or whatever they do. So yeah, that's going to be happening. They want, let's see, they're wanted for extortion, kidnapping, resulting in a homicide, unjustified firearm discharge. I'm assuming that might have led to the homicide, kidnapping for ransom, among other charges. They sound like some bad dudes. So yeah, they are wanted back. This was a pretty good little moment here. GOP moves to authorize Trump to wage war on cartels through military force. I don't know if that's a good idea, personally. Again, the idea that the Constitution kind of says, right, that you're not supposed to use military on the United States soil unless we're invaded. I get you. But I don't know if there's that many of them, and if there's like, it's not like they have like armored personnel carriers they're running around in, you know, like regular FBI and stuff like that should be able to take care of this. I feel like having the military running around inside our country for, you know, and initially martial law. I know there's a lot of people that are like, QPO said, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. Doesn't mean that's what I think is a good idea either. Like, I don't care. I don't think martial law is a win for us, by the way, folks. I know there's a lot of people that just like, they want it to happen because they feel like if it happens, then that means that obviously things are getting taken care of. And I think a lot of people expect everyone to take care of this for them, right? So yeah, shut down the government for 5 months, whatever you got to do. And then, you know, tell me it's all clear and I'll come back out of my house and be happy and continue living my life just ignorant and oblivious and not even changed because I didn't have to do anything different. I just let everyone else take care of it. I just don't think that's what's happening right now. I do think there's an awakening going on. I think there is an ascension process occurring. In fact, my good friend Ben, I say good friend, like he doesn't know me. I feel like I know him, right? It's like a lot of you guys feel like you know me, though I've never met you, right? But my good friend Ben Davidson, who is Davis' son, I believe it is. He's the guy that has that, it's called Space Weather News now, but it used to be called Suspicious Observers. He's had the whole magnetic field thing changing, and he's kind of had it pinned out to, I want to say like 2040, 2030, 2040 in that range, where really we would see the flip happen. So well within our lifetimes, and certainly one of the things that I think are very likely to happen. And one thing that I think we would all have to be united. I think it's one of the reasons why I'm here, frankly, to help with that too. But there's also this other funny thing that seems to coincide. And again, I think this new book's kind of just making this theory, which I've kind of poo-pooed a lot in the past, because I felt like, you know, if this actually was true, that somebody should be able to see this damn thing. Maybe dawned on me where I think why we can't. But I think the reason, I'm going to go ahead and say it, what the hell? The whole Planet X concept is interesting. First off, it's not really a planet. It's it's a dwarf sun that's got, I think, 3 planets floating around with it. I don't remember the names of them. One of them happens to be Nibiru, which is the one that most people are familiar with. So that's Planet X. It's usually called Nibiru. But that's one of 3 planets, I guess, that exists around this brown dwarf star. Now, this star supposedly makes like 3,600-year orbit, elliptical orbit, or some sort of orbit that seems to coincide with every time our poles shift, I think. So I think that could be playing a part in it. Now, I've always said, like, that can't be true because we'd see this thing, right? But it dawned on me, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I kind of have a funny feeling it's not coming from where we would expect it, but actually coming from below us. Meaning, the only place that you would really be able to see it, likely, is on Antarctica. And then it made me think, oh crap, because this might be where the Elohim come from. Oh crap, we've got that antenna down there that supposedly can speak faster than light. And we've been talking about how we're communicating with our secret Space Force using this antenna. And then it dawned on me also that we might be using that to talk to Planet X too. Like, again, crazy stuff, just throwing it out there. And I don't know for sure. Again, I just keep my mind open to a lot of possibilities. But it would explain a lot of things. It would explain the original Bible and the choice of words they used in the original Old Testament and the Hebrew text. It would explain that a lot, actually. And it would explain, I think, a great number of things. So I don't know. But we've got crazy crap going on. The world's getting stranger. We're wrestling control away from the dark ones, probably for a reason. And I think we're going to kind of evolve through this. And this is really what disclosure is. A lot of people said they wanted instant disclosure. Disclosure means different things to a lot of people, but essentially disclosure is the releasing of information. That's what we've been going through since Q. It's been a constant release of information. Did we release the JFK files completely? Well, I guess sort of, kind of. Did we release the Epstein files? No, not yet. Did we release any of the stuff from Southern District of New York? No. Did any of the Hillary Clinton? No. Any of the secrets of 9/11? No. Did any of the? No. What about UFO secret space program? That, which is what most people think is disclosure. When you say disclosure to a lot of people, they think of UFOs. Well, that's something we've sort of tap danced around a little bit too. Has that been disclosed yet? No. So very slow disclosure, because most people right now are not able to handle the fact that we might very well have beings from other planets. Like intelligence might be an interesting thing, like something we don't seem to have much of, but others might. So they're talking about doing all that. It was an interesting one. I'm not going to play that. Judge blocks 3 agencies from disclosing troves of sensitive personal data to DOGE. I am waiting again for the DOGE thing to truly come out. We understand, and Trump's even mentioned it, that DOGE is just a renamed acronym that already existed, is already budgeted, and already has access to the systems. This was the systems that were with the websites for Obamacare. Now, I will say it's entirely possible that they had access to a great number of systems, but maybe there was a few of them that they didn't have access to, such as the Department of Education. Maybe they didn't need that. I don't know. It seems like something they should be able to get access to. Department of Treasury, Office of Personal Management. I don't know. So again, I kind of have a hard time with that argument, but DOGE has rights to do this. And the people doing the work have clearance. So they're not trying to get anyone's personal information, and we obviously know this is because they don't want to be audited because of how much crap we're finding. Treasury is going to be a mess when we finally get into that, and God forbid they actually let us look at Social Security. Oh man, that's going to be it's just broken. VOA journalists are suing Trump, Kari Lake for slashing funding to the Worldwide News Network. What's funny, in my mind, they're like, this breaks the First Amendment. And it's like, no, it doesn't. We're just not funding you. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. We just as taxpayers are not going to fund this. We don't care if there's 350 million people worldwide that apparently listen to you. I doubt that. It might be true. But it's not helping like they claim. They're claiming that a lot of this is happening in China and other countries like that, like North Korea or South Korea, one of the two. So this is, I don't know, this whole thing is pretty stupid. And so when they shut off the USAID funding and stuff like this is going to get dropped, and Kari Lake's already shut down a lot of this stuff. So again, they're taking her to court, suing her specifically because she's in charge of this organization right now anyways. So, we'll see where that goes. I don't want to spend too much more time on it. Trump administration requests Supreme Court halt an order from the judge to rehire federal workers. This is one where I totally agree, and the Supreme Court better frickin' take this up, man. They just better. Because you can't have, you can pause him from firing more people, fine, and then keep them on some sort of administrative leave or whatever, fine. They don't keep altering time because the whole thing about probationary is usually not 90 days, right? So the 90 days can't keep counting while the courts waste time. That's not acceptable. So, I mean, some things need to be handled on this, but yeah, ultimately, hiring them back? No, you don't have the right to do that, district judge. No way in hell. And I think the appellate court said, yeah, no, we're not gonna halt this. So the appellate court went along with it, and that's okay. But yeah, the Supreme Court needs to get involved. This is just craziness, right? The layoffs are happening. There's no rule anywhere that says the executive branch can't manage its own agencies. And again, one of the other things that's going to have to come out in the Supreme Court is whether or not agencies that are in the executive branch can actually be independent from the executive branch, like auditing agencies, if you will. No, that's not cool either. And there's some where they're saying, well, Congress put it in there. Congress does the funding. Congress can't create an agency within the executive branch. That's what the executive branch does. Congress can't do that. So again, a lot of these things are being spun in weird ways that I don't necessarily agree with the ruling or the order, the wording of it. But this is, it's going to be just fun on top of fun. U.S. and Russia are holding talks on the Black Sea ceasefire, but in the meantime, the Black Sea war is still underway. There's many drone attacks still happening, both sides. Russia supposedly shot down 227 Ukrainian drones in the past 24 hours. I think they did some more attacks in Kyiv. Third night of air attacks. It looks like they're taking out very specific targets now because they're not supposed to hit infrastructure or power. So they don't seem to be doing that anymore, which is cool. But they're probably going after very specific people. And so again, this is one of those things where they were like, yeah, we want peace. It's like, crap, we've got to get a couple more of these things taken care of. And then, peace can be had. But if we don't take care of those things, there's always going to be in the back of our minds. And that's not what we want right now. I think the same thing's happening with Iran and potentially Israel. I, again, hope to God we don't see that go too terribly crazy there, because it could. But U.S. and Russia talk about Ukraine war. They're eyeing that Black Sea. I think it's the same article twice. Was it? Yeah, it was. I should have just closed to that. That's what I should have done. Yes, German prosecutors file criminal charges against 5 climate activists. I thought that was interesting. The name of this group is called The Last Generation, which I also found to be interesting. I don't know a whole lot about them. I didn't really go digging on them. Maybe some of you guys might want to. It's up to you. But these 5 have been, they're members of this group. And they've filed charges against them. Let's see, for among other things, forming a criminal organization. That's what they're calling it. That's kind of what they're pissed at them for. Probably because they keep doing damage. I assume these are maybe the ones that keep going in and throwing paint and stuff on paintings and whatnot, going into museums and screwing stuff up. And doing that's a crime. And so if you're paying people to go out and commit crime, you're a criminal organization. There's no way around it. Even if you feel like you're doing it for all the right reasons, no. That's what's so funny about progressives in this country. They think they're allowed to destroy property as a means of protesting. And it's like, no, you can't do that. Sorry. If that's true, then tell me where you live. I'm going to come over and burn your house down so I can show you I disagree with what you're doing. Right? Come on. That doesn't work. A society can't work like that. That's just not how it is. You can call someone a fascist and be like, I'm just taking down a fascist. You're destroying someone's property is what you're doing. Justin Bieber maybe is snitching. He did an interesting post. I normally don't kind of get into this stuff, but Bieber's one of the ones I kind of do pay attention to because I know he's been molested. I know he's done some of the little symbols with his hand or in the eye and all that stuff. But again, this is the music industry that makes him do it. Look at it. He's got makeup on. You'll see this. It'll trip you out. But they prettied him up a few times, I bet.
Has anybody seen Justin Bieber's Instagram? He posted shipping containers with a photo of a baby on a blanket underneath. Captioned, I got anger issues too, but I want to grow and not react so much. Yo. In the same post, there's a picture of him as a child. And who remembers a few months back when there was demands to open the shipping containers? Look at the location, Diddy's house, and look what's right here. Look. Evergreen. And who remembers this episode of Dexter? Evergreen. Remember Harry found him in the shipping container? Bro.
That was the one that kind of tripped me out, was the Dexter thing. Because, Dexter's a series, I don't know, I think I owned 2 or 3 of the seasons. And it just started getting kind of harder and harder for me to get into. I just didn't like the direction it was going in. But I really, really, really liked the first couple seasons a bunch. And I've watched both of those many, many, many times. And that whole idea, the Evergreen thing, I mean, it is one of the largest shipping companies in the world. So not totally weird to see that. But at the same time, knowing what we know about it, and then even that was Hillary Clinton's name when she was the first lady. That was her little code name, I guess, Evergreen. So, yeah, kind of weird. Just all the way across the board. I don't think I don't think most of us realize that. So that's kind of a trip. Here's the actual footage. So the pictures I was showing of the pyramid stuff was like artist renderings, it seems. So these are actually the side scan radar images. I think these have been taken from space. So maybe it's not side scan. I forget the radar name. It's newer technology. It's pretty cool. But this is the stuff that's underneath the Great Pyramid at Giza. So yeah, very trippy things, whatever these are. The renderings looked very different and a lot of assumptions made. But yeah, here is, again, more of it, specimen images that we're looking at. A tremendous amount of structure showing the coiling nature of this phenomenon. Scientists confirm that there is no chance this is a natural formation nor an artifact of the SAR Doppler FFT. So SAR is what it was. And I forget what it stands for, but yeah, some Doppler scanning abilities, able to look. I think this is maybe the one too that's mapping the oceans. I don't know, we got something right now that's mapping the oceans to incredible accuracy as well. Very curious to see what underwater bases might actually show up on those. For any of you guys that are interested in looking for stuff, highly recommend you try to find some places that I don't know. I would assume they wouldn't be horribly deep, just because it would seem like it would make it harder to maintain. But at the same time, you wouldn't want them too shallow. So I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I mean, you still got to figure the pressure's got to be a pain in the ass, no matter how you do it. We'll see. Some extra info coming out around this 23andMe that I thought was worth sharing. Obviously, they, in fact, did file Chapter 11 bankruptcy at this time. But what we found to be interesting is this Wojcicki chick or whatever, the 23andMe, and then the Susan Wojcicki chick from YouTube. I can't say her name. Wojcicki, whatever. Like, I'd have to hear it, and then I'd still have a hard time with it probably. But her sister was the YouTube CEO founder, and also her sister doing the 23andMe. So people are very, very wondering. I guess Anne, the co-founder of 23andMe, is married to Sergey Brin. He's the co-founder of Google. So, the entire main Google is sister and husband, and then she's doing the genetic part. None of that sounds good, does it? No, I don't think so anyways. A lot of crazy stuff going on, folks. If you guys want to check out our merch, finally. Let's see, Truth Thread. There we go. Truththread.shop. It's where you want to go and check it out. We've got some very cool merchandise over there. Got stuff for On the Fringe. You got to love that. Great Awakening, ready for it. And on the back, what do I got on the back? Got the big flag, the OTF flag. It's very, very cool stuff. Got the hats. I love the hat. Very cool. I got the cool new Donald Trump mug. Got my OTF mug. Actually, I think the Donald Trump one, it's got the Great Awakening. And then the President Trump 45th, 47th kind of makes it look like Jack Daniels. Very cool. Also got 3 other kinds of shirts that are, a little more around, different events. So 9/11, of course, don't ever forget. It's got all the information, Building 7 and all the crazy stuff on the back of them. The 6/11 fight, when Trump was shot. And that whole thing, and the Ephesians, put on your armor of God and all that stuff, which again has totally new meaning to me now than it ever has before. It's kind of funny still. And of course, on the back, just a lot of facts about the day that Trump was shot. And of course, 5G warfare, which talks about the 5 generations of warfare, and that we are, in fact, currently in the 5th generation, and it breaks all those down. You can get them in hoodies, long sleeve, t-shirts, tank tops. Got them in a whole bunch of different ways, all the stuff. I think my stuff, I think it comes in all, too. I think it actually comes in all, not just the baseball shirt. But needless to say, very fun stuff. So go to truththread.shop. That's truththread.shop. And pick yourself up merch, help out the channel, help out a good family that's doing the work, and help out the world. Try to learn some stuff that they haven't already figured out. Again, lots happening. We're going to continue doing that. Got the new show coming up Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific. Going to be doing the Law of One. I'm excited about this. I've been wanting to do this show for a long time. Law of One, something that's very near and dear to me, something I think is super important. So hopefully I'll do it justice, and hopefully you guys enjoy. And we'll get there very soon. But yeah, a lot going on this week for sure. I'm also talking to Mike Lindell on Wednesday. Going to be doing a little 30-minute interview with him, and I'll get that uploaded probably as a separate thing. And I'll have that up very soon, right after And that should be good too. So looking forward to that as well. I'm going to ask him some very interesting questions. Hopefully you guys will check that out as well. So again, a lot of good stuff going on. And of course, if you go to mypillow.com/OTF and use the great coupon code over there while I'm talking about Mike Lindell, got his cross that you can get too if you'd like. It's very, very cool stuff. So yeah, a lot happening, and it's going to be a good week. Good week. And April 2nd is coming up. That is what, a week from now, basically? So April 2nd is going to be next Wednesday. And that's possibly going to be a very interesting day as well. So we'll see. Whether it lives in infamy or not, we shall soon see. All said, love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.